Hello and welcome to video 4 in the series where I'm tracking my progress as I try and train towards a sub 3 hour marathon at Edinburgh this year. Today's video we're going to be focusing on hydration and making sure that I've got enough fluid coming in, but really trying to understand what enough fluid is. So I'm going to try and translate what the sport nutrition science is into practice with a worked example today. So today is Friday. This is meant to be a deload week, so the long runs at the weekend aren't going to be a great type of training session to document the hydration. So what I'm doing is practicing this on a Friday. So I've tweaked the program a little bit so that I'm going to do an hour at race pace, and I'm going to treat this like a bit of a simulation. So the idea for this session is we're trying to mimic race situation as much as I can so that the results and the information I learn about my sweat rate is going to be as applicable as possible. So it's going to be as close to what I think my sweat rate is going to be at Edinburgh. That means I can then extrapolate that information to be able to guide my hydration recommendations for Edinburgh. So how am I making it as similar as possible? A few things I'm going to look at. Firstly, it's kit. So I'm going to be wearing one of my Nutrition for Energy t-shirts. I'm probably going to be wearing my cap, which is one of my branded Yugoku ones. Now, reason for that is because actually having a little bit of something over my head might affect my cooling. So I want to make sure I'm mimicking that, making sure I've got the right sort of same kit on. Again, it's going to affect my temperature. I'm also going to be running with a backpack. I'm going to wear my big hydration vest so that I can have all of my sport nutrition and fluids on. That's acting as another layer. So that might affect how much core heat I produce. So I want to mimic that as well. And then actually, I'm going to wear my fancy shoes. That's just so that I can make sure I'm holding the right sort of pace and again, simulate it as much as possible. Things that are going to be out of my control are going to be the environment. So ideally, I would like to have the same sort of temperature, but you can't really just say, oh yes, this is going to be exactly the same temperature as on the day because you don't really know. But what you can do is you can go at the same time of day. That might guide it a little bit. So I'm doing this run at a similar time as to when I'll be running Edinburgh, which is early, well, not that early, but in the morning time. I'm also going to be taking fluid with me so that my bag is the same sort of weight, again just to mimic it. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to actually track my body weight. So I'm going to jump on the scales now so that I get an idea of what my body weight is before and then after the run. The reason I'm doing it per hour, well, the reason I'm running for an hour is to make the maths really easy and to make this nice and digestible so that you can learn how to apply this information to yourself. Right, so all you need, simple set of scales, don't need anything fancy. We're not tracking body hydration status or body fat levels, just regular analog or digital. What we need though, we're just going to put those down, make sure that you've got a really firm floor. Then best practice is going to be to strip down. Okay, kit back on, and the key bit of information here is my body weight before the run is going to be 78.1 kilos. The next bit of information that you must have is how much fluid you're starting with. So I know that this bottle is exactly 500 milliliters. I'm going to get into the implication of that after the run. Let's go smash it. So just over 12 minutes in now, as you can see, really starting to get a few big sweat drops rolling down the face now. A half an hour in now, really stopping the sweat going in my eyes by wiping it. I've got a bit of a sweat on. Pace, 3 hour marathon pace is 4 minutes 16 per kilometer. So I'm trying to keep this about 4:10, thereabouts. Keep the heart rate in the low 160s if I can. So depending on the elevation, slowing down or speeding up. Righto, still pretty red in the face, but I've literally just whacked a t-shirt on and got off the scales, and I'm going to talk you through how to calculate your sweat rate based on what I've just done on that run. So key bits of information were body weight pre-run. If you remember back, that was 78.1, was 0.1, yes. Then body weight when I got off, so body weight after, was 77.2. Okay, now I weighed my drink and there was, so how much fluid did I consume? Drink consumed, the bottle was 500. When I poured the remainder in, there was 200 left. So I've drank 300 milliliters on that run. So I drank 300 milliliters, but that's equivalent to 0.3 kgs. So the total fluid loss that we're going to work out next, total fluid loss is the difference between these two, which is 0.9 plus the amount of drink I've consumed. So 0.9 plus 0.3 is 1.2. So that's 1.2 litres of sweat that I've lost there. Now, to calculate that in terms of sweat loss per hour, then it's quite an easy one because I ran for exactly 60 minutes. So I know that this is 1.2 litres per hour. Now, as an example, if you went out for a 90-minute run instead of a 60-minute run and you had these same numbers, then what would we do? So first of all, we need to convert the 90 minutes. So that was 90 minutes. If we divide that by 60, we get 1.5. So then we divide your total fluid loss by the amount of time running in hours. So it would be 1.2 divided by 1.5, which would be 0.8. So if I was running for an hour and a half and I did this instead of an hour, then my sweat rate would be 0.8 litres per hour. So what does it all mean? Well, once you've got your sweat rate per hour, then you can use that piece of information and apply it to your race plan to actually create a hydration strategy that's going to enable you to not get too dehydrated so that your performance is going to suffer. How do we do this then? So the key bit of information was I'm estimating that my sweat rate, hopefully you've done your calculations, but my sweat rate I'm estimating was at 1.2 litres per hour. Therefore, the total fluid I'm expecting to lose for Edinburgh Marathon, if I'm running at that same sort of intensity, same sort of pace, have my trainers on, same sort of kit, maybe if the weather's the same as well, then I'm going to be losing roughly that amount per hour, but I'm going to be running for about 3 hours. So I need to do 1.2 times 3. So that equals 3.6. Okay, so I've got 3.6 here. That's the total fluid I'm expecting to lose for Edinburgh. The next piece of information that you need to learn is your body weight. So here, if I come back to my body weight pre-run, you need to know what 2% of your body weight is. So I'm going to do a quick calculation, 78.1 times 0.02. So let's work that out on my calculator because I'm not Rain Man. 1.56. So the reason this piece of information, that equals 2% of my body weight, 1.56. That piece of information is helpful because the science suggests that when you lose more than 2% of your body weight, that's when your performance may start to suffer. Okay, now that we've got these key bits of information, we can create a hydration plan. So we know that the estimated fluid loss over the whole run is going to be about 3.6 litres. We also know that my body weight, or 2% of my body weight, which is a number I'm trying to stop losing more than, is 1.56. So what we need to do for our hydration plan is drink the difference between these two. So that is 3.6 minus 1.56, which equals 2.04. What that means is I need to drink 2.04 litres over the course of my marathon, and that will put me just on the border of what's acceptable for hydration. And that means I'm not going to be over drinking, but I'm definitely not under drinking too. If I can do that, I'm going to really tee myself up for a successful race. Hopefully you were able to follow this and my little worked example so that you can now go out and work out your sweat rate and actually estimate your total fluid losses for your marathon and then create your own hydration plan. What I've learned is that I need to have about 2 litres over the duration of my 3-hour marathon. What I now need to do is plan in how I'm going to do that. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. In the next video, we're going to be looking at how to build a caffeine strategy so that you're starting race day feeling good without the jitters, but you're making sure you're getting the performance benefit from the caffeine. And also you can have my little top tip because you're probably traveling. So what little strategies we can do there to make sure you absolutely nail it. I'll see you then.